Hello and welcome to Glee TV, where we have some important news to announce. The dates of Glee 2024 are changing. It'll be from Tuesday the 10th to Thursday the 12th of September. And with me in the studio today to give the background for the change of date, I have show director Matthew Meehan.
Hello.
And industry consultant Boyd Douglas-Davies, who has been carrying out a programme of in-depth retailer research for Glee.
Hello.
Let's start with Matthew. Would you like to give us some insight as to the reasons for the change? I know the Glee team have been doing a lot of listening to the industry to come up with this decision.
Yeah, absolutely. This has come from continuous feedback, talking to the industry, and actually something that we wanted to do post-event was to have a deeper dive in terms of research. And as a result, we wanted to work with Boyd Douglas-Davies, being an industry expert, to really understand what's going on. So we carried out a lot of that research, which I'm sure Boyd will share with you, some of the top line stuff. But as a result, it's really given us the steer to move the show to the September dateline.
Okay. So Boyd, you've been carrying out this in-depth retailer research. What type of retailers have you been talking to?
We've talked to an incredible amount of people. We've talked to the smallest independent niche retailers in our industry through to the biggest groups across the country. So we've talked to people north, south, east, west. We've covered all the geography and we've covered all the retailer types to ensure that we've actually got a really comprehensive understanding of what the industry is currently thinking about and what they're facing in the future years.
Yes, because you didn't just ask them about the date of Glee, did you? You actually covered current trading, current buying trends, all current trading issues.
Yeah, it's a much bigger piece of work than just the date. The date was a fundamental question within the research, but what we were asking about was, what does Glee look like in 5 years from now? What does good Glee look like for you as a retailer? How does Glee as a show support your business, and what are your challenges now? And how do you see those challenges actually evolving? And therefore, where can we help you with them through the show? And what do you see the opportunities to be for your business over the next few years? So again, we look for ways to support everybody across the retail horticultural industry.
Can you give us some of those key findings that you got from it?
Yeah, sure. Well, we found out, of course, that one of the biggest and most consistent challenges is costs. There are so many costs now that are outside of the control of a retailer on a day-to-day basis that everybody's having to face that headwind. And they're looking for ways to both minimise those costs by making themselves more efficient, by changing the model. The introduction of technology is certainly a part of the retailer landscape going forward, not necessarily at the point of sale with the tills, not cashless tills with faceless machines, but behind the scenes, people looking for ways to make their business more efficient. Of course, energy, a big challenge going forward. So we talked about that in depth and really understood where the industry is on their journey towards a greener solution. We talked about how marketing will play its part, social media through to in-store events. I think the retail landscape really still in garden centres wants to engage with the consumer on a one-to-one basis. That's what we do so well. So people are looking for ways to cost effectively entertain their customers when they visit their sites, to bring them back to site more often, to bring them back in at those quieter times. So that was a big part of conversation. And of course, the last few years, we've probably lost a little bit of product innovation because of COVID and the restrictions. So the independent garden centre is looking to differentiate itself from its competitor online or its big box competitor. So we know that people are looking at Glee as a source of new product, of innovation within product, new categories they're looking for to support the fundamentals of garden centres. They also want to see plants at the heart of everything they do and everything that goes with that. So we know that people want to see over the next 3 or 4 years plants growing as a category. They believe there's great opportunity there. We also saw throughout all the research the importance of food, both in garden centre catering, but also food to go. So the retail food and actual casual snacking. So people looking at almost garden centres as a sit and dine, stand and graze, walk and talk and drink. So looking for all those different catering opportunities where they can bring in different formats in maybe small pop-up type scenarios. Yeah. So that was another big part of what came back out of the research, is that plants and horticulture and food and feasting are two big journeys that our whole industry is going on at the moment.
But when it came to timing of the buying cycle and prices being available for new products and stuff like this, what did you discover there?
It's an incredibly interesting space. That conversation was, whilst only one part of the interviews that we carried out, it was actually quite a really emotional part, because whilst there are people who like a June date or even an early July date, what everybody wants is comprehensive data. They want to go to the show when the suppliers are confident that they've got all the prices, the stock availability, all the information they need, so that as a retailer you can come out of the show and make your decisions in the immediate weeks afterwards. The consensus was that September is actually the place where the industry as a whole can be totally ready. And whilst some were ready in the summer, others, due to import charges and costs and evaluating the market space for maybe 6 to 9 months ahead, were struggling to get to that. So the retailers I talked to, consistently we came back to that actually, on the whole, September has the best place in our industry for this show, because people can then come out of September show and crack on with actually placing their plans for the next season. Whereas they find it a little bit tricky in the summer to actually make that change because they're still waiting on some of that information. So I think for everybody, we found that that's the sweet spot.
Yes. Yeah, and at the end of the day, the issue with rising costs, the other way to beat it is to sell more, to have more new product and sell more goods, and that's what you just need the trade show to be, the place where you go and buy it.
That's what it's got to be. It's inspiration for how to move your business forward, and that's where the biggest single piece about Glee, people say they come to Glee to be inspired, to get activated, to start their next year. Almost Glee is the opening to the new season, so actually placing it in September is a great launch pad for all their planning for January onwards.
Yes.
So the timing feels absolutely spot on.
Wow, that's really clear that's come through from that. Do you want to add anything to that, Matthew?
Well, it's been really intriguing seeing all the evidence now from the research come out for any sort of ideas that we had before doing this. I think they've been evolved and understand the story behind it. I think that's the key to all of this. So it's been a fascinating bit of research, and we've learned so much from doing this. I think there's other elements we can add to the show, not just for next year, but as we evolve the show in the next 2 or 3 years, I think we can add to that, other issues that came up around sustainability as well, and the peat-free side of things, and educating consumers. That was also really interesting too. But no, I think it's given us clear direction, and we have to act on that.
I think the other thing that we've found, which was fascinating, was that the decision to move to the summer, everybody agrees, wasn't wrong, but the industry and the world has moved on. The COVID change to imports and timelines has actually meant it's so difficult for people to predict prices back in May even, because of course they're preparing for a June show, they're making decisions in May, almost 12 months in advance, and the predictability of the world marketplace, fuel, transport costs, has gone out the window, whereas for years you knew the container was costing you $1,500 to $2,000 to ship. And then we all saw $20,000 shipping costs. So I think the industry recognises, both at the manufacturing stage and the retailers, that actually what was normal 5 years ago has completely gone out the window. And the retailers do understand some of the challenges that have suddenly landed in the last 2 and 3 years. And of course, we don't see those changing back to a stable situation for a long time. So the decision that was right then, of course, with the movement of time, has now become a new decision.
So the Glee team, and through Boyd's research, have listened to the industry. So thank you, Boyd. Now, Matthew, the 50th anniversary of Glee is going to be at the NEC in September, but exactly which halls?
Yes, so we've got a slightly different configuration for 2024. So we'll be using halls 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So those will be the halls that we're going to use for the new layout.
Okay, so that's just shifted slightly along from where it has been for the last few years, yeah?
Yes, it's moving down to halls, and what we're doing is creating a floor plan that will enable some similarities with block sizes. We want to make this as convenient as possible for our existing exhibitors to move across to that new floor plan. But what it will do, of course, it will make sure that the visitors coming to the show will have a slightly different shopping experience, which means that they discover and find new products and new supplies, which is fundamental from the research that came out. So it's a positive.
Yeah, we picked up a lot of comment actually about, we were asking people what's great about Glee and what would you change? One of the most enjoyable parts of the whole process was when I gave people the power of Matthew. I said, you can be Matthew for a day, what would you change about the show? And it's incredible how difficult it was for them to answer that question. So that was showing a great appreciation for what happens. But there were some subtle little pieces, and I think you'll be delighted to know that people love the new product area, or the work that goes into that. They actually want to see that quite early, actually first thing almost on day one. So there's talk about that, isn't there? We're looking at where could new products go to make them very accessible, because they're such a fundamental part of why people come to Glee. So that all came out in the research and really reinforced a lot of the great stuff that is already happening. So it's not a new show out with the old and in with the new. There's so much people love already, isn't there, that is going to continue on. And it sort of reinforced a lot of the work that's happened for years.
Good. So people still come in through atrium entrance.
Yeah.
They'll see wonderful new products. We have over 300 every year in the Glee new product display, which probably makes it the biggest. So, to wrap this wonderful Glee TV session up. So, Glee 2024 will be at the NEC and will open on Tuesday the 10th of September, brimming with exhibitors and their new products for retailing for 2025 and beyond. The Glee New Product Awards will take place on the evening of Wednesday the 11th of September, and that means it's Floral Thursday on Thursday the 12th of September at Glee at the NEC. See you there.